Sunrise over Canyon de Chelly, a place where tourists come to photograph 1,000-year-old Anasazi ruins. A place now occupied by Diné, a Navajo word meaning the people. The Navajo Nation is the largest Indian reservation in America.
The Navajo Reservation actually has 200,000 people.
In the town of Chinle, you're a long way from anywhere.
We have a small grocery store and a bank in town.
And a U.S. government-supported hospital. Dr. Lee Gordon is a hand surgeon from Fort Collins. You can call him Digits.
Mr. Shorty, what kind of problems are you having here?
He and a team of doctors, including 2 from Denver, have been coming here for 5 years.
Did you hurt anything else? Wow, boy, you're lucky. Whew.
The need is great.
Can you straighten up that finger?
Language is a barrier. Wind is also a barrier in Arizona's high desert. In April, it blows and blows and blows.
Ooh, boy. It appeals to me to provide this kind of care to a relatively remote area that otherwise would be unable to access it. Let's take a look here, darling. Yeah, that hurts.
It was wind that slammed a door shut on 3-year-old Rainey Lynn Sandoval's hand.
You know, I worry about the kids that operate and send back to Hogan's and dirt floors and running water, and whether or not they'll ever see a therapist or treatment again.
Dr. Gordon sees up to 30 patients in a day.
Are they tingling now?
Most of the people that Dr. Gordon sees have had the conditions that they've had for many, many years, often a lifetime.
After the surgery, that pain will go away.
Day 2 starts earlier for Dr. Gordon.
Good morning.
It's time for surgery.
We all volunteer our time. We do the surgery. We don't bill for the surgery. We don't bill for the office visits.
This woman is a typical candidate for surgery. A lifetime of working with her hands crippled her with arthritis.
Everything she does hurts.
There's a lot of people that work with their hands, they work outside, they have hand injuries, that kind of thing. So a lot of them just live with those problems.
This is Lee Gordon's 15th visit to Chinle.
People here really don't accept you until they think that you're going to come back long enough or do enough to really help change their living standards here. Ah, yes.
The bottom line is that if they don't get the services here, most of them don't get the services at all.
Bettering the lives of a people by healing one hand at a time, a way of making up for the social injustice of generations past.
It's impossible to probably undo what we've done over the years, but I think to say that we can't do anything about it is equally wrong. So she won't be able to do that anymore, but that should get rid of her pain. And to give a little bit from ourselves, our pocketbooks, to help them would be at least a step in the right direction. Okay.
My father was a medicine man. Never knew anything about Christianity. Everybody just believed in the traditional way.
A new day dawns on the Chinle Wash of Canyon de Chelly.
Friends, believe the good news.
And for Pastor Norma McCabe, it's a day of balancing the gospel with the traditional earth-based Navajo faith of Hojo.
Amen. I am able to interpret what is philosophy of our Navajo people, and what is Christianity, and what is theology.
Norma is a certified lay pastor at Trinity Presbyterian in Chinle.
I think the church was ready for it.
Are there any joys?
She is the only Navajo Indian to have graduated from a Presbyterian seminary.
To me, somebody had to go to a seminary. Somebody had to come back to explain it in Navajo.
She did an outstanding job working with her people because she speaks their language. She preaches in Navajo, and she reads the Bible in Navajo, and she sings in Navajo.
But on this Sunday, it's obvious Norma's church is in trouble.
We're lucky if we got $100 in our plates.
Chinle and the Navajo Nation is one of the poorest regions in America. Unemployment and alcoholism are high.
As you see here, there's no economic.
Buildings are rather been through its usefulness, and they're deteriorating.
The winds of Arizona's high desert are not kind.
It's just too bad that the weather had to be as it is.
The wind wasn't about to stop a group from Fort Collins. They were on a mission.
We've been working while you've been howling at those coyotes.
They need church repair.
Several years ago, the needs of the church in Chinle became known to a congregation in Colorado 600 miles away.
We're just scratching the surface of what they need.
To mission organizer Marilee Rowe, this is not just about winning converts to Christ. It's about addressing the needs of a people long neglected.
The little church is just a place where we can start.
What is a miracle?
Our hope is to get Norma McCabe, the ministers, up to past the survival level and up to the point where she can dream and tell us what it is that she'd like to do for her community.
So far, the work is cosmetic. What's important is the long-term commitment to a future generation of brothers and sisters in faith.
That's the only way I see that we will survive.
These workshops that come in are just an answer to our prayers that people are coming in and helping, giving us a boost.
We just have to keep on showing up and doing what we can.
2, 1.
God deliver us from all evil.
As a late spring snow gently falls on a special place the Navajo call their physical and spiritual home, a wise mother once said it is important to look at the world as though you were looking not 1 butte away, but 10 buttes away.
Forever.
For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen.
Eight-year-old William Fuentes was born with a rare defect that causes stiffness in his hands and his joints.
He came to Colorado from Honduras after a team of doctors in Fort Collins offered to perform surgery free of charge. News 4's Ana Alejo reports on the operation that's been 2 years in the making.
William Fuentes delights in scoring a goal against me. William and his father Tomas are hopeful their visit will give William a little more freedom to move about. Tomas Fuentes says the surgeries are a great gift they'll appreciate all their lives. Hand surgeon Dr. Lee Gordon met William in Honduras in 2002.
I knew that this was the most severe case I'd seen and thought that only bringing him to the United States would he get any help at all.
But it took Dr. Gordon months to find William again. His family lives in a tiny village. With rigid fingers and clubbed feet, William is completely dependent on others for his care. Surgery may enable the 8-year-old boy to feed himself.
I did surgery like this in Africa, and to see the smile of the child in the recovery room after we released one hand to put it to his face was the greatest reward I think I've ever had.
While finding William again and getting him to the States was a challenge, finding people here to help was not. Dr. Gordon's church, Harmony Presbyterian, is sponsoring William and his dad and providing them a place to stay. William tells his dad he's already dreaming about what he'll be able to do. Ana Alejo, News 4.
3 other Fort Collins surgeons will join Dr. Gordon in performing the first surgery on William a little later this week.
Some of that Colorado generosity we like to brag about.
An 8-year-old Honduran boy is in Fort Collins tonight recovering from what could be a life-changing surgery. William Fuentes was born with a rare condition that has left him unable to use his feet or hands. His joints are basically frozen, and he has to rely on others to help him dress and to help him eat. 7 News reporter Rhonda Schulting is at Poudre Valley Hospital, where the surgery was done today. And Rhonda, doctors hope they'll be able to make the boy's life better.
They do, Ann, and today's surgery was really only the first step. William will need even more surgery, and then he'll have to wear braces on his legs for the rest of his life. But the hope is that he'll be able to walk in some
his eyes and goes into a deep sleep.
We're making real progress here.
For the next hour and a half, surgeons will carefully cut away at the boy's left foot and right hand.
There's his joint right there.
Freeing up the frozen joints that have not moved since William Fuentes was born.
It is moving. How about that?
William's journey to this Fort Collins operating room from his home in Honduras began almost 2 years ago when one of the doctors involved in his surgery spotted him and his father Tomas at a clinic there.
I'm apologizing for my tears, and I just love him so dearly.
Like any parent, Tomas is hoping that after the surgery, William will be able to walk and care for himself. For an 8-year-old boy, there is the hope to play soccer.
Pelota. I want to play with the ball and kick it around and throw it up.
That's going to be awfully nice for him.
William's doctors, though, have more conservative and perhaps more realistic goals. Their hopes are simply that the surgery will help him live the best life he can.
If we can help in some small way, it would be very rewarding.
Now, during surgery today, doctors were able to move William's right hand next to his mouth. They hope he'll be able to use this hand to feed himself in the future. Now, the surgery team was planning to work today on both hands and both feet, but they were unable to do that because William had a reaction to the anesthesia. But they will finish what they started in just a couple of weeks. Reporting live in Fort Collins, Rhonda Schulte, 7 News.
You're watching 7 News, working for you.
Imagine not being able to move your elbows or your knees. What would life be like?
It is something 8-year-old William Fuentes knows all too well. He's had that paralyzing condition since birth. A doctor from Fort Collins spotted him on a trip to Honduras and knew he could help. His father also hoped they could help his son.
So I'm apologizing for my tears, and I just love him so dearly.
William underwent surgery at the Poudre Valley Hospital Friday, and yesterday, after many tears and a lot of help, William was able to feed himself. In 2 weeks, doctors will work on the joint in William's legs. He is hoping the surgery will mean he can run and someday play soccer.
Tomas Fuentes weeps as his son William prepares to enter surgery. The two have traveled from a tiny village in Honduras, so William can have a chance at a better life. A team of Fort Collins surgeons and other specialists is treating William for free.
What you hear is, I want to give something back. Life's been good to me. Why don't I give a little bit back?
This first surgery lasted hours and is aimed at giving William more freedom to move about.
How you doing? Let's take a look at your splint here.
Although it's still painful, for the first time in his life, William can bring his right hand to his mouth.
Yeah. Look, cabeza, mano. There.
Tomas Fuentes says he's happy that although it's minor, William will have more movement.
To do all those things, I think, is an amazing step forward to self-care and dignity.
William's left foot, once clubbed like his right, is now straight, able to fit in a shoe. Fort Collins school children have sent cards to cheer up the little boy, who Dr. Lee Gordon spent 2 years trying to bring here.
How can you resist this face when you see it? He is a neat child.
In Fort Collins, Anna Alejo, News 4.
We've been following an amazing story about a little boy from Honduras who has a rare condition that has left him unable to use his feet and his hands.
I think we're all pleasantly surprised of how much more he can do.
Today, 8-year-old William Fuentes had another surgery which was donated by Poudre Valley Hospital in Fort Collins. Doctors operated on his left arm and right foot.
But we're basically trying to do what we think will work without a great deal of therapy when he gets back, but yet bring him a quality of life he's never known.
And over the weekend, we found William working with a therapist, moving toy cars around. His family is learning therapy techniques so they can take those lessons back to Honduras with them, and those smiles say so much. Already, William is starting to do things he has never been able to do before.
What a little cutie.
For months now, we've been following the incredible story of 8-year-old Willian Fuentes from Honduras. He has arthrogryposis, which is commonly known as club foot, a disease that struck all of Willian's joints.
He came to Colorado for surgery and physical therapy to improve his quality of life. 7 News photojournalist Major King shows us the trip has been exhilarating and tough, as Willian has been away from his mother since April.
¿Estás emocionado, mijo?
The longer that he is here, the better it is for him.
8-year-old Willian Fuentes came to Colorado in April from a world most Americans will never know.
It is a huge contrast to Fort Collins.
3 surgeries later, his native Honduras seemed as distant as the miles separating him and Father Tomas from the rest of their family.
We were just basically messengers.
Until recently, when Fort Collins residents Renee and Teresa Suazo traveled to the tiny village of Arica to meet Willian's family and show his mother, Rosario, video of their stay in the U.S.
The young boy closes his eyes and goes. Instantly meeting her, I knew that she loves her son, she loves her husband, and she misses him deeply.
An electronic reunion that triggered equal emotions here in the States. Honduras is one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere.
The house is a very humble home.
Car batteries for electricity, no running water, poor in the material sense, and yet,
in terms of what's important in life, family and love, they are extremely rich.
There have been many firsts in Willian's life lately. A camping trip in the mountains, a fireworks show. But one thing is missing.
Willian will never go to school. The best chance that he has is that he's been introduced to books here, and if that flavor touches him in a way where he sits down with his 9-year-old sister and 13-year-old brother and says, "Teach me to read." That's his only opportunity.
In Fort Collins, Major King, 7 News.
And tomorrow will be a huge day for Willian. He'll be getting braces for his legs and arms, another step toward walking on his own.
Love that story.
Keep them in their thoughts for sure.
Willian Fuentes came to Colorado from a tiny village in Honduras. He came looking for a chance at a better life. Now, after 3 surgeries and a lot of physical therapy, Willian is going home with new hope. Doctors in Fort Collins performed his surgeries for free.
The boy suffers from a rare birth defect that made his hands and his feet so stiff that he couldn't feed himself or even walk. News 4's Ana Alejo talked with the boy today, the boy who's touched so many lives in Fort Collins.
Willian Fuentes plays with the kids who've been hosting him and his dad for 3 months. 2, 3. He's become part of the neighborhood.
Yeah, he likes things that go fast. Yes, he goes.
The Suazo family offered their home for the boy a Fort Collins doctor spent 2 years trying to bring here.
Well, it's going to be difficult to send him back because we've completely fallen for him.
A team of doctors donated their services to give Willian hope. Straightening out his clubbed feet, he's now standing and taking some steps.
Never has had any motion.
Hand surgeon Dr. Lee Gordon headed the whole mission.
Willian remarked the first time he stood up, "I'm tall," because he is used to being almost like that shape.
Surgeries on his arms and hands have enabled Willian to feed himself. He's even doing sit-ups with a therapy band so he might one day sit up on his own. Willian's dad, Tomas Fuentes, says his son now has the will to do things independently.
He is a tough kid. He wants to get better.
And Willian's taught the people he's met a thing or two about the human spirit. Ana Alejo, News 4.
People in Fort Collins now have a new goal for William. They want to build a house for him near a school in Honduras.
Wow, what a great story. Way to go, Willian. All right.
A young boy from Honduras is scheduled to leave Colorado and head home today, ending his 3-month-long journey.
8-year-old Willian Fuentes will be going home today, a new boy. Doctors in Fort Collins performed several surgeries to treat a paralyzing condition that prevented Willian from being able to move his elbows and knees. He can now stand on his own with some special braces and eat by himself. Those are things he couldn't do just a few months ago. Willian and his father, Tomas, were the special guests at a farewell party in Fort Collins last night.
Let this community come and revel
in the opportunity we've had to meet and know and receive a love from these two guys, new friendships that we have made and had an opportunity to build together, and then certainly the medical outcomes and hopes, many of which have been exceeded, I think.
And they're not done yet. Now those who brought William to Colorado want to try and build his family a home near a school in Honduras so that William can finally attend classes. They've set up a fund at First National Bank branches in Fort Collins. So if you're interested, jump in and help.
They have really done so much to help that family. What a great story.
That is a wonderful, wonderful story.
A northern Colorado community is coming together to help a family in Honduras. You may remember William Fuentes. He spent several months in Fort Collins this year undergoing surgery to help free up frozen joints in his arms and legs. Well, now the same people who helped him through surgery have created this particular calendar, and they are selling it to help raise money for William and his family so he can go to school.
Right now he's very isolated by himself. His brother and sister are gone all day to school, and he sits by himself and plays with his little cars.
By the way, some of the pictures in the calendar were taken on outings with William when he was staying in Colorado, such as a camping trip in Rocky Mountain National Park. The calendar is available at the Harmony Presbyterian Church, or you can go to the email link at thedenverchannel.com, click on As Seen on 7 News.
So many have pulled together to help this little boy out, so I know people will come through for sure.
Mr. Shorty, what kind of problems are you having here? I've been a hand surgeon for 30 years. Are they tingling now?
He's been the microsurgeon with the steady hand for patients with carpal tunnel, arthritis, or trauma.
Let's take a look here, darling. Yeah, that hurts.
Building his practice one patient at a time, while traveling the world to offer skill to less fortunate people in need of a specialist.
Well, I thought life had been good to me, and I figured I could give a little bit back.
But for Dr. Lee Gordon of Fort Collins, that all changed last May.
My left hand and left leg started getting weak with the headaches.
An illness unforeseen. A dreaded diagnosis. And a new routine of radiation and chemotherapy.
It was a very frightening time.
The tumor was a very rare grade 4 astrocytoma, the most highly malignant brain tumor you can get.
I pretty much knew right away that I couldn't go back and do what I do, which is microsurgery.
He's a one-man show. And when you're a doctor, when you stop working, there's no more income.
The biggest asset I have, much like land, is my practice.
And that's where colleagues like Dr. David Lebowski stepped in.
It's not common because it doesn't happen very often that one of your friends gets so ill as Lee did, that he needs that much help so abruptly.
And there are others.
It's called a Dupuytren's contracture.
Like Dr. Robert Foster.
I'm a cancer survivor. I've known Lee for a long time and can identify with his problem, and therefore I'm happy to help.
Dr. Gordon says it's more than help. It's a bond, extending from one set of healing hands to another.
Pretty inspirational to me.
It's been very heartwarming, very overwhelming that people would do that for you.
Dr. Gordon wants to get back to what he loves, teaching, helping, healing.
And I hope to be able to get back and do that one of these days.